immer wieder. Wölfe im Schafspelz. Konspirierende, lügende, niederträchtige Juden. Ich erkenne sie schon von Weitem. Wenn Sie mein Buch gelesen haben, wissen Sie, dass ich die Wahrheit kenne. Und wer die Wahrheit auf seiner Seite hat, der gewinnt immer. So konnte ich die Welt von den Juden reinigen und so konnte ich die minderwertigen Kommunisten in die Knie zwingen. Oh, so ging das. Ich habe ihn vernichtet. William Josef Platzkowitsch.
Fuck. Alrighty, here we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The following is a review for Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. So let's dig into it. Wolfenstein 2 is a sequel to Wolfenstein 1, the New Order. The guys behind these games have mentioned that they want this to be a trilogy, and since this one is still relatively fresh, I wouldn't bank on the third one coming out so soon. I mean, depending on when you're watching this. Wolfenstein 2 was released October 27th, 2017 for all the current gen systems, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. This comes 3 long years after the first game. It should also be noted that unlike the first game, this game only came out on current gen. The first one came out on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, as well as current gen, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. That's good though. It means that the developers were able to focus on current gen specifications instead of having to worry about it, it looking good, but it has to run on this system as well, and all this other shit. It means they were able to focus on just this system. Anyways, Wolfenstein 2 was developed by Machine Games, who did the first game and the prequel, The Old Blood. The game was published by Bethesda Softworks, who are the video game giants behind games like Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Keep in mind that Fallout was developed by Bethesda. Wolfenstein was only published by Bethesda. So off the bat, Wolfenstein is not a batshit crazy buggy mess like Fallout. I love the first 2 games. Wolfenstein The New Order being my first FPS of this type. I loved it. I bought it twice. I played the prequel, The Old Blood, enjoyed that for what it was. And although I was more excited about The Evil Within 2 being announced at E3 2017, I was still pretty hyped about the sequel. Then I saw the ad campaign for Wolfenstein 2 where they were using the current political climate to really push their game. And you know what? It was like the first ad campaign that I really fell in love with because it was just anti-Nazi everywhere. And when I saw that real life Nazis were getting furious, I doubled down on these guys and went for the special edition. Any bet against Nazis is a good bet. I gave the game a 9 out of 10. So, of course I recommend it, and here's why.
Calm. Paris, I'm feeling a little jittery. You mind taking the edge off?
Let me see what I can do about that.
You know, my ma always said, never trust a man can't handle his whiskey. So you sit right down, sit there, Billy, and drink up.
Ugh, what in the world the fuck is this shit?
Old Horton Special.
Oh, goddamn.
Now,
There's no multiplayer in this game, just like the first one. If you pay full price, know that right now. The story is a direct continuation from the first game. Spoiler alert for the first game if you have not played the first one. At the end of the first game, you fight the big boss, Death's Head, but he goes for, one last Hail Mary and detonates a grenade while you're both next to each other. Deathshead dies, and superhero Captain America G.I. Joe man William B.J. Blazkowicz survives, just barely. When his partner finds him, his insides are basically coming out. With the help of Set Roth, the Jewish scientist you saved in the first one, he basically manages to save you. So for a while, you go in and out of your coma, getting flashbacks to your childhood. Far as I know, I don't think BJ has ever been confirmed to be Jewish, let alone for his past to be explored. A quick search on the internet gave me that information, and the internet has never been wrong. Your dad is a bona fide racist, blaming others for his ineptitude, while your mother is in an abusive relationship, constantly trying to protect you.
Humiliating myself just to keep the business alive. I saw them two together, Sophia, getting sweet with each other under the poplar tree. This cannot happen! I have worked too hard for too damn long to lose my reputation because my boy is sweet on some nigger.
These flashbacks give a lot more definition to BJ because you'd never guess his childhood was the way it was. The way he's so proud to be an American soldier. You'd think he's just some run-of-the-mill kid that lived the American dream with his family. Anyways, his childhood sucked, and now that the Nazis took over the world, his adulthood sucks. Oh yeah, also his insides are barely, inside of you. I mean, they're barely put together after that grenade throw by Deathshead at the end of the first game. So when you finally awake for good, you awaken just in time for the raid on the U-boat submarine thing that you've been hiding on. Remember that in the first game, that lady, you really fucked her up. You fucked up her face, but you didn't really kill her. Alright, well, she's the main baddie of this game. And although you fight off the raid, she kills the leader of your resistance group. And after a really shitty funeral, y'all decide that rather than mourn the leader, you should execute her final plans, which was to incite a second American Revolution. So you go to America and set that up. Wolfenstein 2 is a first-person shooter, so there's going to be a lot of shooting from the first-person perspective. And for those of you that just went, oh, now I get it, please unsubscribe from my channel. For a lot of people, including myself, when the term FPS comes to mind, they think of Call of Duty. Not specifically for the game itself, but the style. They think shoot, take cover, shoot, take cover, help your allies, shoot, objective, etc. Wolfenstein 1 was the opposite, where it followed the old school first-person shooter format, where you go guns blazing. Wolfenstein 2 tiptoes on both sides, because Wolfenstein 2 is a lot harder than the first game. When I played the first game in the normal difficulty, it felt like normal. When I played Wolfenstein 2 on normal, there were times where I felt like I was playing a much harder difficulty. So there will be moments where you gotta do a lot of cover, shoot, cover, but there will also be moments where you can go absolutely mental. The games you collect are unique from one another, but nothing out of this world. That being said, they all feel fucking great. The feel, the sound, the impact, it all combines to make the gameplay extremely satisfying. In the first game, you could dual wield two of the same weapons. In this game, you can mix and match a rifle with, say, a submachine gun, which means you can, shoot at enemies at a distance and at close quarters at the same time.
Let me help you unpack, Mr. Redfield. Was zur Hölle ist das?
William B.J. Blazkowicz, the Nazi killer himself and star of the Wolfenstein series. In this game, we get to learn about his background with an abusive, racist papa and a poor little Jewish mama, which is great for longtime fans of the series and for newcomers alike. His transformation in this game is also worth noting. At the beginning of the game, his guts are out and he's waiting to die. Obviously, this becomes a huge weight on him because the only thing holding him together is an Iron Man suit.
Your suit, the damp heat, the maddening itch. How did you endure it so gracefully? It's fitted so tight I struggle to breathe. Yet inside, Caroline, you left a vacuum too great to fill. But your suit and the cause is all that keeps me upright. And Anya, her voice, her glory, it buckles me. So here's what I'll do. Keep away from her. Let nothing show, Caroline. This dying is making me a liar.
We find out that his lover Anya from the first game is now pregnant, and so this also becomes a huge weight on his life. The guy is dying, he's got kids on the way, and he's the only guy that can lead on the battlefield in the fight to liberate the United States of America against the Nazi regime. Regime or regime? Probably regime, huh? I won't spoil the turnaround moment for him, where he turns around from becoming this sad sack of shit to this all-American hero, but by the end of the game, he's the old BJ that we all know and love and takes pride in his work. That work being killing Nazis, and it just makes him being that so much better, because we had to basically deal with him being a sad sack of shit the entire first half of the game. So when he's all excited and he's happy about killing Nazis, it's even, you just feel it more. Let's just go with that. It's an improvement from the first game in just about every way, and that's fucking awesome. The first game was fully functional. They could have polished it and be done with it and slap a 2 on it if they really wanted to. But they didn't. They improved the writing, the visuals, the audio. These are the kinds of games that deserve our kind of investment. It's not just a garbage reskin. Alright, I got this reason out of my ass, but hey, it's anti-Nazi. I think that's a good reason to recommend something, right? If it's anti-Nazi, it's good. On the other hand, reasons that may dissuade you from purchasing this game, because this is still a review and I don't want it to be unnecessarily one-sided. On the other hand, this game has no multiplayer. Its replayability it's just hinging on the single-player experience. I personally think the story is worth the full price, but there are people that simply don't. So keep that in mind. There is also DLC being released as I work on this review, so that may add to whether you want to wait for a complete edition, or it may persuade you to want to go get the game now and get the season pass as well. On the other hand, the difficulty spike in this game is brutal. There are numerous difficulties to choose from, but it seems to be a consensus among the community that it is far more difficult than its predecessor. Take that as you will. On the other hand, the pacing in the narrative is sometimes a little jarring. Between missions, you spend some time in the U-boat you stole. So it could be a little weird to be in this massive firefight and then be in a total safe zone where violence is literally just a memory. There's a few side missions where you put the main story on pause and you go after Nazi commanders. But again, it kind of, like I said, it puts the main story on pause, and so it kind of feels weird to do these little side missions sometimes. But, there's that. Anyway, all in all, I gave this game a 9 out of 10 because it's kick-ass. And it's a kick-ass follow-up to an already good game. I misread the script right now. But I'm going to keep this in because it's my thing to be more casual now. So I'm going to repeat that line. And, yeah. I gave this game a 9 out of 10 because it's a kick-ass follow-up to an already good game. The narrative was impactful and thematically relevant. Fuck. That was a hard word. And it did so without holding back in any shape or form. The first game is, being sold for cheap, and it's being bundled with the DLC, the Old Blood expansion. So I recommend that game and then picking this one up to really get the full experience. So for me, once again, Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, gets a 9 out of 10.
Du